now it is time to look at the game jam. So I am joined by a couple of people today. We have Mentor Mike. You can say hello, Mentor Mike.
Hello.
We have Mentor Sabrina.
Hello.
We also have Mentor Zen.
What's up?
And no one else has joined in, so I apologize to Zen and Sabrina. I don't have your icons up on the screen. I ran out of time before I could get them loaded in, but just know that they are here with us today. So we had several submissions come in. I was enjoying myself playing them earlier today, and we're going to go through them one by one. So once again, to go over this theme, this week's theme was Out of This World. So most people interpreted this as space, but you'll see in the future that that is not the only way this can be interpreted. So for anyone who participated, I do just want to note that we have this Game Jam Out of This World badge that you will be getting. And then we'll talk about what the winners get and any possible we'll also talk about the next Game Jam theme. So without further ado, I'm going to go through our submissions, starting with the first one, which was submitted by Happy. So we click in here. I think I know who this is. I'm going to go full screen, not expose too much code. And let me just fix the cropping real quick for everyone. There we go. A little bit better. All right, so I'm going to click play. Or I'm going to click run, and then I'm going to click and I'm going to lower that volume. There we go. All right, so meteor shards, let's play it. All right. So it looks like this is a meteor dodging game. Left and right to move, and notice that there's accelerated movements here.
Also, do I notice those are buttons on the screen, so this could be mobile compatible?
It is. So whoever designed this game, or Happy who designed this game, had the foresight to add buttons to the screen. So if you were to open this on your phone or your iPad, you'd still be able to play it. Now, there we go. I can shoot by pressing the up arrow key, I think, maybe, no, it's up. So that works. I'm going to start actually playing now and not just dodging, so. All right, pretty nice. I like the sound that the rocket makes anytime it shoots. I don't know if you can pick that up. I had to bring down the audio. It was a little loud with that music playing, but.
I really like the implementation of, well, it's something I've never really seen before added in any other hedge game that we have, having a mobile compatibility feature. Very, very cool.
Yeah, it's rare that people do this. And think, when you play a game on your phone, very often they have like the joystick in the bottom right-hand corners, things like that. This is kind of, this is getting into that with Hatch. So I'm actually going to play around with, yep, it works just fine. I'm playing around with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the player input is a very often overlooked part of the game, even though it's so intrinsic to playing games. It's always good to consider how many different ways can I play this game, or can my player play this game, such as if they plug in an Xbox controller, can they use that? Can they use the keyboard? If their keyboard controls, can my player change which keys it is? Or if it's a touchscreen compatible, like, will I put the touch buttons there? And I think that's a really good consideration. Like, the only thing that I would add to the controls here is maybe the ability to either hide the buttons if you don't want to use them, or switch the sides. So the movement's on the left and the shoot's on the right, just having an option.
Yeah, I actually I have a lefty mouse, and so I actually had some issues play testing some of these games earlier today, and I will even say some of our student mentors who are very advanced make very good games. Some of them, many of them, I had to ask how they played their games because they didn't list out their controls, and some of them weren't too obvious. Also, it's probably just due to me being weird and using a lefty mouse. So pretty solid game. I'm gonna go ahead and
I'm just curious
lose.
before you,
Before I lose.
no, I was gonna say, just lose it real quick. I want to. Make a comment because I want to see something there.
And dead.
There we go. All right. So I would have a suggestion, since this seems to be an infinite game where the game goes on over time. The one, or like a couple suggestions I'd make. One being, it would be very interesting to see a game that develops difficulty over time. Lots of games that go on forever, including like the Google dinosaur game, or like Flappy Bird, things like that, where they gain speed, gain difficulty over time, and it becomes more and more of a difficult. So perhaps maybe there's more asteroids coming towards you, or their speed increases. Could be an interesting addition, as well as what I was looking for when the game ended was just a view to be able to see your score as you end, maybe a top score, be able to log that somewhere would be a cool arcade replica-like style of the games that were made back then.
Yep, and on top of that, it would be the perfect place to use cloud variables if you had access to them.
Exactly.
Yeah, with cloud variables, you'd be able to create that leaderboard. And I agree with Zen. The game getting more difficult as it goes on would be a nice way to expand this game moving forward. And even something like power-ups, maybe you get like a couple of like bombs you can shoot, just gets rid of a bunch of asteroids, which once the game gets more difficult might be more useful.
Exactly. I think this game is a really good foundation.
Yeah, keep in mind, this was announced on Thursday, which was July 8th. And everyone only had a week to submit it. And if we look back, they submitted it July 9th. So not even a day later, they were done. So pretty solid submission, all things included. So
Very, very
to go
cool.
back, let's take a look at this next submission. So I think this is by a pretty much brand new kidOYO student. I don't know if they have prior programming experience, but I think they're pretty new. So I'm going to go full screen and let's take a look. Okay, so I'm running the code. I'm going to click play to play. Oh, and I'm going to die. All right, I needed to be a little quicker on the controls. Let's try this again. I'm going to click play. All right, similar idea. Instead of vertical, we're going left and right. Oh, whoops. This is going to be the frustrating thing that everyone has to deal with today. I'm not very good at games.
What I noticed immediately is I really like the aggressive pattern of the obstacles that's getting thrown at you. I think it makes a very interesting experience for a game that is definitely, the enjoyment is based off its challenge. So I really like how quick and how often these targets are moving towards the player. Very, very cool.
Yeah, so I'm guessing this individual used clone.
I agree with Zen. I like how often they're coming, but it would be way better if there was a delay right at the start, so you could acclimate yourself to the game before you have to, avoid dying.
Yeah, it's always nice to give the player the breathing room, like a couple of seconds to like, all right, here comes the challenge now, as opposed to, press the button and there's already a meteor in your face.
Yeah, and Hatch does a variety of ways you can do that. You can add a wait block if you need many things to wait at the same time. You can wait and then broadcast a message to like the meteors to start. Overall, pretty solid game, especially if it's a brand new programmer. Some things that I'd recommend. I noticed that when these meteors spawn, they're spawning kind of into the page, not from the very edge. So you can play around with their X values and where you center the sprite, where you send it to get that looking a little smoother. It's more important for it to come in from the very right edge of the screen rather than delete all the way to the left. So you can fix that by sometimes playing with how the sprite is centered. I think I just noticed, can I cheat? Can I just park myself down here?
There you go. You found the developer's little secret.
Look at me. I'm good at gaming now. Yeah, so overall pretty good. I think swapping out some of these circles for like just an image of a meteor, find it online with a transparent background, dress this game up a lot. Yeah, there's a whole, oh no, I couldn't do it. All right, I cheated. and I got a high score of 96.
So I would also have two things like that. Number one, the first thing I saw when I entered this game, and I actually thought this is what I've been seeing, is perhaps a implementation of patterns of these asteroids. When I first saw it, it looked as if when it started off, since the two asteroids came together and then they came apart, that there might be a system where these asteroids have different arrangements where they come at the user. I think it could be a very engaging experience for the user to be able to learn arrangements of asteroids. Maybe asteroids come in, they block one entire side of the screen, leaving just a spot open. Things like that could really add to the longevity of how much game time a user might have before they grow tired of monotony. And the other thing that I'd like to add was possibly some sort of GUI to represent health. I know points becomes a lot harder using Scratch because you have to use the variables, but since the health always kind of starts at 3, possibly a representation of maybe the ship starting to break down, or maybe you could include hearts in the corner that disappear, could be a very interesting way of spicing up the graphical representation of the game. But overall, I think the gameplay style is very, very good at this game in its state right now.
Yeah, and I think this is another, I'm just going to X out of here. I think this is another case. Yeah, they submitted on the 11th. I think that was Sunday, so didn't even get a full week, just a couple of days. New student, pretty solid work. All right. Now, all of these submissions, before we get to the student mentors, we have one more submission here. So I'm going to open this one up, and then we'll get to the student mentors.
I see that all 3 of our non-mentor submissions were made in Hatch.
Yes. Yeah, and there's good reason for that. Very often games you want it to be graphical. They don't always need to be. I did receive one that's not very graphical in nature. We'll see that shortly. But very often you want something to output graphics. One of the fastest ways to do that is to use a programming language or software that easily adapts to graphics. So Hatch is going to be very good for that. And then once you get to the heavier programming, as everyone knows, something like Unity is going to be what people go to. But with that said, let's jump into this game by, I believe it's Duckrat. Okay, I'm gonna
Hatch
try
is actually really good for prototyping, I wanted to say.
That too. All right, I'm gonna run this and I'm gonna try to narrate this. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to speak as fast as this is going, but I'll try. Hello, welcome to our rocket. This mission is to save the Oyo bots who have called for help. Captain. Oh, already. Life identified. I didn't get it. Unidentified human. Hello, I suppose you're wondering why it's so dark in here. So our leader turned all the lights out. But he forgot that we're half solar powered. Okay? Which would mean that we will all turn off within a week. Oh, I'm sorry, but I think we need your help. Would you like to help, I think it said? We have a sort of obstacle course to get through as a safety precaution. All right, so we have this sprite. It has accelerated movements, which I like so far. Realistic gravity, accelerated movements. Right off the bat, adding stuff like that adds to the game. It's also not a simple thing to add very often. That's when you're starting to use variables and velocities. I did play this game before. I don't know if I'm missing anything, but I don't think there's too much to it. This is the next challenge. Enter the passcode. It starts with 1 and ends with 7. So I'm going to come clean and admit I cheated. I looked through the code to find out what the password is, and that is because the number of, I forget if it's permutations or combinations, but the number of possible passcodes that would begin with a 1 and end with a 7, especially if you don't specify the number of digits, is infinite. So I'm going to go ahead and cheat though. I know that the password, you could probably guess this, is 1, 2, 3, there's no 4, 5, 7. Back to normal. So I guess we turned on the lights. All the robots are powered up because they are half solar powered. That said, if they're not fully solar powered, I guess they have another power source. But yeah, I think this is the entirety of the game. What does everyone think?
I like the representation of the dialogue, how it like scrolls across the screen. I think that's a very interesting way of representing dialogue. I haven't really seen too much used out of Hatch. An obvious note I feel like would be to add a bit of time for the user to read the message in some cases. Sometimes it had enough time to fully read out. Other times it would close the second the last word was written out, which, I've kept along with it for the most part, but you could blank and possibly miss the last word there. So just slowing that down a little bit, I'd say, is a note. Other than that, a little bit more content for the game, obviously, though we are limited by time in the game jam, would be nice in general. Having a bit more puzzles, perhaps even scrolling screen elements to make levels a little bit longer would be definitely appreciated. But I think this game has a pretty cool foundation. I like the concepts in it so far.
Yep, I definitely agree. I think pretty obviously compared to the previous two games we saw, this had a story where the other ones had none besides, spaceship in space. And that's definitely a big part of being engaged in games, is just having context of why you're doing something. Just giving the player even the smallest amount of motivation, like in the universe, why you have to do any task is usually enough of a motivate for people to just continue playing the game, because games nowadays have become more than anything really a storytelling medium, more than just the pure gameplay like in the Pac-Man days. And we're going past the story, the gameplay, yeah, it's a little short, and the passcode sequence is as far as I can see, there was no way to find out what the passcode is, except just pressing them in order and guessing correctly. So when you're making a game, you have to really make sure that the challenge is testing something for the player that you have taught them in the past, right? So in this first level, we can say that the jump from that middle platform to the end portal, the purple end level marker, is testing the skill you learn from jumping from the first platform. But unlike that, in the next challenge where you have to just guess a code, it's not really teaching anything or learning anything. It's just having the player guess, which is not the greatest design paradigm to go with. So maybe consider how the player is supposed to learn the code before asking them to put it in.
Yeah, I agree a lot with what's been said. I think this game is different in that it has a story, and I think it has a pretty cool trajectory it could follow if this individual wants to expand on it. Something that I didn't pay attention to the first time I played it, but I noticed later was exactly as Zen highlighted, the scrolling text down here. To add text line by line like that is not something that's common. It's not super easy. It's not undoable, but especially in Hatch, it's a little bit tricky. And I can imagine a decent amount of time being spent on adding that. And yeah, I think if there was some more time, we'd see some cooler things. Maybe that first level expand. Maybe you could do like a riddle that would use that passcode, or you'd have to do like, the parts of the passcode are hidden in a level and you need to shine your flashlight on it to see it. All these different things that could kind of be worked into the story. And yeah, this seems like a game where there's a variety of different tasks. Another small thing, I think the Oyo bot here was supposed to hide on this scene. So yeah, I would make sure I would play this game, maybe give it to my friends and say like, hey, do you see anything you'd like changed? But overall, pretty interesting path to go down, pretty unique attempt at a game. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the list of challenges.
If I would just want to add to what Doug mentioned about having other people play test your game. I learned that the hard way the first time that I made a game for a game programming competition, where I thought my game was absolutely perfect. Everyone would understand how to play it, and it would be great. And then the first time I gave it to someone that wasn't me to play it, everyone hated it because I understand how to play my game because I made it. But part of, when you're making a game, you're not necessarily making the game for yourself. You're making it for your audience. So you need to make sure that the people who are going to be your audience are going to be able to play your game. So that's the importance of having play testers that aren't yourself.
Yeah, and that is an excellent segue into our next project, because the next project we're going to look at is by Zekram, or as you see on the screen, Zek. And that is exactly what happened. He submitted this game, and then I needed to go in the kidOYO Discord and ask him, what is this? I do not understand it. A little bit of that is probably me, but yeah, I needed a little bit more description, so I'm just going to send that out now. And this is what you're seeing. So this is on a jar file that I had to download. A lot of these games I needed to download to my computer to run. So what you see here is this is a game in which you are, this takes a different look at the theme of Out of This World. So most people went for space. In this case, Zekram went for Out of This World into the virtual world. So we're running short on time, so I don't want to read all of this because I want to make sure we get to everyone's projects. But the idea is that you are trying to escape the humans by navigating through the directories, and I think you need to delete files and just navigate around. So this is going to practice using some command line prompts, and you're going to see me do very poorly. All right, so I have 10 seconds when this starts, and I need to start trying to navigate around. So I'm going to list out my directories. Okay, so I'm going to go cd documents. Nope, didn't get it. All right, so I already died. This is how this game largely goes for me.
So the game is played through a, I guess like a pseudo DOS prompt.
Yeah. So I'm going to try
this
this
reminds
again.
me of a game that hack.net. We're not hack.net, just hacknet, I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of those games out there. Like I remember I played one when I was a kid, called like Galactic Hacker or something, where the entire game is played through a fake computer interface, and the goal is to like navigate a file system.
Okay, that was my mistake. I wasn't using capitals. So time's up. Okay, the human started searching CD home, downloads. Okay, so I think I'm good parked here because I'm in documents and they're looking at downloads. Okay, home, downloads, home, pictures. They haven't looked at documents yet, so I think I can stay here.
So is this like a game of virtual hide and seek or what?
I think.
I
can delete things. I just don't know how that benefits me. I feel like it just means I have less places to hide. Okay, so I gotta go cd school dot. All right. So that's kind of the game. I would like, I guess, I mean, there was a whole lot of description at the front, but maybe a little more description to help me out. Make it a little clearer what it is that I need to do.
Yeah, that goes back to what I was mentioning earlier, is that the number one thing that you need to do as the game developer is you need to hold your player's hand to make sure they know how to even start playing your game. Like,
and in my case, you need to
yeah, because like the last thing that you want is you are not going to be standing over all of your players' shoulders and telling them how to play your game, because that would be like the ideal thing, right? But that's why tutorials exist, and that's why exposition and just blurbs in front of the game, just so everyone knows what the goals are.
So now we have our next game. I cropped out of everything, so I'm gonna go fuller screen. Okay. So this is by Zach, and get out of this world. The world is being destroyed and you need to escape to Mars. Click the start button to begin. So this is one of those cases where I was kind of dumb for a second trying to use my arrow keys because I use a lefty mouse. So I couldn't move because my hand was on my mouse, not on my WASD keys. So I think this game is really fun looking. You get to you drift off from the center as you move around. Just has a nice effect. A bunch of unique graphics. I mean, all these players are running around in the same. Okay, so E to interact. No fuel. All right. Okay, that's as far as I can go that way. So the fuel's got to be over here.
I say huge points for presentation right now. I'm loving the animation.
Also
on top of that, by the way, I want to say I love that there is a special outline around you, the player. So it's really obvious which one is you, and you have a different shirt, different pants on. That's
your
very
arms aren't up.
Yeah, everything. There's a lot of things that set the player character away from the non-player characters. That's always important. You always want your player to know like what are they controlling.
Yeah, so clearly I get rocket fuel here. I'm gonna just explore a little bit. Okay, that's a little bit. I'm gonna get fuel. So go back past, I guess, the 3 buildings in this.
I really think
empty city.
before. I really like the people running in the background. I think it adds a very cool atmosphere to what is trying to be achieved without panic stunts. I think just the presentation in general is very, very pleasing.
Oh,
certainly sets the scene.
Got to get in the rocket.
Get in the rocket. Get in the rocket.
You mean here?
These other people.
Or do I have to climb up here, Mike?
No, get in the rocket. Oh my.
Okay. Yeah, here's where I die. A and D to move, and I'm going to
look
die.
At that.
I'm in a very bright room, and it's very hard to see some things right now.
No.
Oh no!
I like the explosion. Oh.
The explosion's a very nice touch. Me playing this game, I think you're
I want to see. I wonder, can you go get the fuel before you make it to the ship, or is that locked?
Yeah, that would definitely be a faster way to play this game.
It could definitely be locked. Let's see.
You wasted my time, Zen.
Invisible queue, though. Who knows?
Yeah, I would say a definite must-have for games like this is checkpoints. We already we already did this first part, and nobody likes being stuck at a hard boss and having to go through the easy stuff to get there every time they lose. So it's definitely a consideration you want to have, is that how much inconvenience are you causing the player when you make them start too far back. So what I would do here is, after the player gets into the rocket for the first time, I would set a checkpoint there, and then they could keep on trying this next section over and over until they get it. But there's the presentation here is great. You have the stars flying towards you, giving you a sense of direction. The meteors flying towards you. You
have a progress bar towards the end of the level.
Yeah,
the progress bar never gets very high when I'm playing.
Yeah, the progress bar is definitely a very nice touch. So there's a lot of conveyance there. So what I would add is, in fact, in the next section, the meteors have no random rotation, but they do here. So just be mindful that you don't want to have things repeating too obviously, just because it looks better to have a little bit of variety. Even for this side-scrolling section, you might also want to consider having some of the background elements move at different speeds to give what's called a parallax scrolling effect.
And something I see in a lot of games that show cities in a 2D environment is to make a city seem more vast, they'll put in the background city, so that even you could see that in the distance the city goes on. And like Mike said, having maybe you have layers of background, so there's
maybe it's just one of those northern Russian cities where they have a couple of buildings where people live, and then just kind of nothing. Yeah.
Soviet bloc.
Yeah, where they just erect the structure, or
Novosibirsk.
Oh, you're 60% of the way.
Don't jinx me.
Oh, 75.
Shh.
Or just the Kowloon walled city. I was trying to remember its name.
I actually can't tell what engine this is made in. I'm going to.
This is Unity.
Is Unity. Okay.
Hey, I did it.
Hey, you made it. Is that Mars?
Okay.
And,
I wasn't guaranteed survival until I touched the flag.
But wherever you landed, apparently you can breathe with no spacesuit. So.
It's honestly makes it even more impressive doing it with Unity, since Unity being a very powerful engine allows you to do things, but a lot of more simpler things in Unity become a lot more difficult because of that. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot better than it used to be. Unity was originally called Unity 3D. I think they just call them Unity now. The 2D for the longest time was notoriously not very good, but in recent years, for like actually a few years now, it's gotten very good at handling 2D games. So it is a great choice if you're a more advanced student and or developer and you want to make 2D games. You can always go the JavaScript route, but if not, Unity is a very valid option.
And the reason why it's so attractive as a developer is because 3D modeling is a time-consuming and difficult task. Even if you put the time in, genuinely, it doesn't look good for a lot of people who try. So being able to model simple artwork using vector art, pixel art, things like that makes it way easier for people to, just create games. Even create simple dev art is a lot easier to do in 2D environments. Is this the next thing we're moving on to?
Yeah,
all right,
let me transition, make this look a little bit better. 1 second. There we go. So this is Freddy's game. So I played this. I think it's pretty cool. I've been told that for whatever reason, it's definitely playable. It just doesn't work on some people's computers, but we'll see. So I'm this little kind of guy here, and as you can see, these are black holes of some sort, of some very high mass objects. They have gravity. So if I move along, I can get away from it and escape. Okay.
So do you have like a dash button? How do you do that?
What?
Do you have a dash button or do you just walk?
No, it's just walking with accelerated movements and jumping. Those are the controls. And I can press space to jump. I can press W. It's pretty easy to go through. My only problem is this is as far as I get right there. So I'll show you why. It's not because I fell down. Oh my, come
on. This looks like it's also made in Unity.
Yes, also made in Unity. Come on.
I think this one wants you to get as close as you can to the black hole so that it can swing you a bit better.
Oh, I did it.
You did it. I like this mechanic.
I also
like the mechanics.
How short the levels are because it's teaching you how to play the game.
Yeah, and you can already see that they're getting longer the more they're teaching you how to play. And
there you go. Oh, you win LOL. So, okay. So, let me just make a comment there at the end. I don't... not to nitpick everyone's level designs, but that final level there had something what's called a leap of faith, where the only way to beat the level is to make a jump that is blind and you can't know what's past it before jumping. That's generally not a very good thing to make your players do, unless for like story or tension reasons. So it's so there's a bit of an issue here because you only have so much screen space to work with. So one way to counteract that is maybe you could have the camera look ahead at that specific moment to show you what's coming next, or
just zoom out.
If in one of the corners of the screen, maybe you had a mini map that showed the whole level, so you have a better idea of where you are in it, as opposed to having to just jump blind.
Yeah, and to add
you can
on to
also
the
zoom
idea,
out.
Things like guiding arrows, perhaps, or what a lot of games do is they add prop features into the game that might give the character a reason to go through that area. Perhaps like a gorge that might look unpassable that has arrows pointing, and you have to get to a town. Maybe there's a sign that has an arrow that points to town this way, so you have to go into an area that might seem like a place a player might not want to go natively. So maybe a sign, just some form of even just in-game direction.
Yeah, so it's one of the maybe the quote unquote secrets of game design is that the coins in Mario or the rings in Sonic, like they're like, the player wants to get them, but as the game designer, you can use that to very subtly hint the player where they should be going. You can make that jump not so blind if you put a trail of coins or some other collectible for your game and in like the trajectory you want them to jump, and the players will understand that instantly.
Hey.
I don't know if there's like a real term for it. Maybe I think it might be called breadcrumbing. But the point is that if you're making a Mario ROM hack or fan game or something, and you want the players to go a specific way, it would make sense to put coins pointing them in that direction because they want to collect the coins, and they would naturally go there to get the coins.
All right, so that was Freddy's game. I thought it was pretty cool, really cool interaction. And lastly, I don't think his link is in here, so I need to go grab it. Lastly, we have a link from Mentor Ben, who is just showing us.
Is this the final game that we're looking at?
This is the final game we're going to look at. Excuse me as I juggle windows. Okay, Alien Annihilation. Oh, backstory. Didn't see this before. So this is Unity WebGL. Backstory. After aliens attacked your crew on your own spaceship, only you survived, which was not predicted by fate. Of course, such a disruption destabilized the universe. As a result, you are now a pixelated rat. Destroy the aliens to regain control of the universe and return to Earth as a hero. But if you fail, the entire human race is in serious trouble. So,
also
interesting
a good start.
backstory.
I do like rats.
Just wait until you see the
Rats
game
are the
sprite.
best.
Just wait till you see the game sprite. Ready? There you go.
No.
Hold on,
Is
can
it
I go
okay?
full screen? Hey, there we
Is the rat
go.
okay?
That rat does not look all right.
So, oh, I got it.
That rat's looking a little stiff.
Oh, hold on, is this?
Oh, wow.
I wonder if it's, I think it's like, I don't know if it's like freaking out because I'm streaming.
It's just
This is how you shoot. Hold on, I'm gonna get out of full screen. It started off dead last time I played.
You have full health.
Okay.
Okay, so the upside down rat kind of.
Hold on, I'm gonna refresh. I thought I was able to jump last time using the up arrow. If not, give me better controls. Give me better directions. What is going on?
You know the jump button?
There you go. Yeah,
Oh
jump
my
was
God.
up. It just like was stuck. So yeah, you're in space, so you fly around. There's some really weird thing that goes on when you shoot, and occasionally
I see.
the rat
This is a
rotates.
common problem that people run into when making projectiles, is when you spawn a physical collider inside the player, the engine will try to push them away from each other. You can fix this by making the whatever your projectile is. In this case, it looks like I don't know, like a Kamehameha wave. What you would do is you would make the projectile be a a sensor. What's it called in Unity again?
That's a great question.
A trigger. You make the projectile a trigger. So when it passes through the player, it doesn't physically move them, but then you can still detect the collisions when they hit something.
I'm gonna die here. I don't know why it's so stuck. Yep, died.
I like the presentation here. So are you supposed to move by shooting and like let the
No, like I played this before. Like it's hard to tell, but I'm moving to the right. There you go. Yeah, texture would help give some direction.
Yeah,
just,
and then
he gets
that
stuck.
would be like an important reason why animation like exists, is so just so the player knows like if they're moving or not. Like the feedback, like the player always wants to know that the button they're pressing is doing something, and you know that's like the functional side of animations, is that it lets the player know something they're doing is correct.
Yeah, so I played this earlier and there was no problem with jumping. It flew up, so I'm thinking maybe there was an addition made since I last played it, where it is halting the upwards movement of the sprite. Can't quite tell.
It might also just be some oddity with streaming at the same time. Who knows?
Yeah, there's some crazy things that I'm like, I think I have everything accounted for, and then I don't. But this is about where it is, so.
So yeah, it looks like the goal of the game is to defeat all the aliens before they defeat you. Get them before you get got.
Hey, I'm kind of flying now. And I don't think they shoot at you if you're too far, if they can't see you.
Oh wow, they shoot through the platforms.
Yeah. But so
it
can
looks
I.
like you're floating. So do you float?
You're supposed to.
Reduce gravity, maybe at least.
Yeah, it's like you it's kind of flying, kind of floating down. Oh, until you hit lava. But the lava doesn't float. Yeah, so that's pretty much the game. I'd like to see the up movement change. Fixing that problem with shooting would be nice. I do like the rat, but maybe have it maybe not spin around like it does. I don't know. There's a couple of things that can be done with this game. I think the humor is pretty solid.
I do like the background using the particle effects to have the moving stars everywhere.
Yeah, that's a good.
It's a little strange that they're going in all different directions. I'm not kind of sure where you are in the universe where that's happening.
You're surrounded by wormholes, Mike.
Oh,
that's why.
Okay,
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's why they do that. Yeah, so that is pretty much all of the game.
Yeah, before we finish, Sabrina, what do you think of the rats?
I love rats. I want a rat room.
Okay, thank you, Sabrina.
The rat room. Beautiful.
All right, I'm just gonna go back here. All right, so those are all of our Game Jam submissions. I'm going to announce the winner in just a moment. Before I do, we didn't make any projects for this, but I don't know about you, but I had some thoughts as to projects I might make, games I might make. Did any of you have any ideas of what you might do for this theme?
Well, everyone really latched onto this space thing because, Out of This World is the first thing that most people would probably think of is going to space. But I'm very happy that at least one person went with a little bit of a different direction with it, with going to cyberspace. Like that was pretty cool. I expected that to happen. Otherwise, it's a very broad. It's a very broad category because just space. Space is a setting. You could have done anything in space. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the journey, or it doesn't have to be about low gravity. Like if you think of like a popular game series like Mass Effect or which is based off like a TV series like Star Trek. It's mostly politics in space. So it doesn't necessarily need to be about flying the spaceship. So you don't the important part about choosing like a game or a topic for a jam is that you're free to some extent to interpret the theme very loosely. So let it be an inspiration rather than a pigeonhole.
Yeah. I thought the Out of This World theme, where you went into the virtual world, was a very unique take on it. I had one idea that kind of combines like both an original idea and like the typical space one, and that is I believe the Candy Airheads, their slogan is "out of this world," and
Oh wow,
in the commercials,
that
they
would have
like
been great.
they eat an airhead, and then like their head turns into a balloon and they float away. So I was gonna combine that with like you play as Jeff Bezos, you eat an airhead, and then you your head turns into a balloon, and then you float up into space. Just kind of combine, I guess, three things. He's going to space, the candy, and maybe making a little bit of fun of people
Yeah, I
in
mean,
a
it's
fun game.
definitely an interesting take on it. And all the games that we saw today, like none of the games that we received are in any way bad. Let's make that clear. They were all very good. So any sort of maybe observations or criticisms that we may have talked about during this live stream is just feedback. It's
Constructive.
constructive criticism. So we have many more weeks of game jams to go through. So use what you have learned today, or this week doing this game jam. And if you decide to continue to participate in the next game jams, use what you've learned to make the better game next time. And the only real way to get better as a developer is to finish project. Anyone can start a project, but it takes courage and it takes skill to see a project to the end. When you get to that hard problem that's hard to solve, every game eventually has that one thing that you want to do and you want to implement, but is very hard. And you get better as a developer by sticking with it and solving that hard problem. That's the important part, and that's what you should be pushing for when you work on a game jam.
All right, so we've looked at our contestants. Now it's time to decide the winner. So we are keeping the student mentors separate from the regular students, and that's just because some of these people have been doing coding for like longer than other people who are participating have been alive, arguably, and we want to put people on a fair playing field. Also, I was hoping to do a tournament bracket with the student mentors. We didn't get too many submissions in this week to fill out a tournament bracket. As time goes on, maybe we do fill one in. Regardless, we did need a group stage to start out the tournament bracket for as many people as were joining, so it kind of works out okay regardless. But without further ado, after much going back and forth, the winner for the game jam is User Happy. So this is the first game we played. This is the Meteor game in Hatch, and I thought it just worked really well. A lot of care went into it with using accelerated movements, some nice game sprites, as well as what I thought was really, really interesting was making this game mobile friendly so that you could play on your phone. It's very rare that people do that, especially in Hatch. And yeah, this game, especially in one day's notice, pretty solid game. I like this a lot, and I'm happy to award this as the winner. So for the winner, I believe we have a variety of different prizes. To start out, I believe the winner gets 500 mentor tokens that can be used for a variety of things, as well as the option of a t-shirt or enough mentor tokens to create a second domain. So for those of you who aren't familiar with OYO class, everybody on here gets access to a bunch of different tools and editors, as well as you get your own subdomain, aka your own website. And so with extra mentor tokens, you can get a second domain, effectively having 2 websites. So that is our winner. We aren't officially giving out winners for the student mentors until we figure out exactly what we're doing with the tournament bracket, but if there were to be a winner today, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Hacked Zach for the Escape the World game. I thought it was very, very solid, very, very well done. Just a lot done in terms of art, just subtle details, gameplay, It was, yeah, it was, especially in the time frame, it was a very solid game. I could see it expanding in a variety of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, presentation goes a very long way.
Yeah. All right. So
very good.
So that is.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, but everyone who participates gets a badge saying they participated, correct?
Absolutely. You get a badge. You get a badge. Yes, this is the badge. I'll zoom in for everyone to see it. I'm going to go ahead and right after this, I'm going to go ahead and approve everyone's submissions. You will see these badges load on the wall.
And you all can be proud for participating because even if you didn't win, you are one of the, 7 people that will ever have this badge?
Yes. Now, with that said, it is time to release next week's Game Jam theme. We have different prizes for every week, and we have a variety of different Game Jam themes going on. So, the next Game Jam theme is not here. The next Game Jam theme is limited resource. So, just like the previous Game Jam theme, we're going to have a challenge that we load onto the wall. We're going to post it on the wall. We're going to load it. You can submit to that challenge. Be creative. There's a variety of different ways you can interpret this theme. And you have the whole week. So you can feel free, if you want to share your progress on the wall, just post a link to your project, share it with people. You can do that. It's always interesting to see what you're working on. But keep in mind, if you want to, if you have a game done and you think you can add more to it and you have it done early in the week, don't be afraid to continue working on your project and submit it a little later on, or even just update your challenge submission. So with that said, that is all we have today for this dark mode stream. We are pretty much right on the dot with timing today. Anybody have any last closing remarks before we end things today?
Not really, besides that, remember, treat the topic of the Game Jam as a inspiration, more than forcing yourself into a very limited box. Obviously follow the theme, but have fun with it.
And good luck.
Nope.
You might say don't limit your creative resources.
Exactly.
It's a bad
I wouldn't say that, but you can say whatever you want.
But I might. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We're looking forward to seeing the projects you submit, and stick around. Join us next week for Dark Mode.